What's happening, champions? It's Leonardo DiCaprio. I could be out banging models, but I'm here listening to The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. I promise you're not missing out on banging hot models. It's so much more satisfying just listening to Nick and Steve, I promise.
Well, that's nice of you to say, Leonardo DiCaprio. We are kind of models. I mean, we're aging models, but yeah, welcome to the program, The Vocal Minority, Nick and Steve.
Why not do both? Why not bang hot models while listening to the podcast?
Oh, wow, dude. That's setting a real high expectation.
Yeah. You know, back in the good old days, I used to routinely have sex while listening to myself in the band, you know. I'd have the band's music playing. Hooking up.
Your guitar work was playing while you were banging?
Yeah. I mean, our songs, you know, my band, that was the background music. It's a good warming up music, too. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting, dude. That tells me a lot about you. You know what I mean?
Well, the challenge was then the guys in the band to get together that week and be like, what song did you make it to on the album? I'd be like, I made it 6 songs in before we were done. And drummer would be like, I only made it 2 songs in. Oh, geez, I feel inadequate now.
Yeah. Wow, what a game. How much you have grown, how much you have grown. And that is what this podcast is all about, dude. It's growing, it's making fun of people, it's laughing, it's information. This is just an all-around good time, The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
All true. Find us online. We have our own website, thevocalminority.net. But who goes to anyone's website anymore? I mean, seriously, I don't remember the last time I went to somebody's website because everything's on the apps, it's on the social media, and that's where we really want you to get involved, get vocal with us. So find us on YouTube, on TikTok while it's here. Reddit is still a blast, and then all the other ones, there's stuff going on there. Blue Sky, that's a great one too, though, for regular social media kind of stuff.
They asked Donald Trump about the whole TikTok ban, like, sir, it's getting closer. You know, are you going to save TikTok? And he gave about as meaningful of answer as he did last time. We'll be looking at TikTok. We'll be looking at TikTok.
What is the problem? Why can't he just answer the question?
I don't know. I don't know if he's waiting for another donation.
Yes. I think he must be waiting for some way he can work this to his advantage because he could very easily just not have his Department of Justice enforce the law, save TikTok, and be a hero. But he can't be a hero for nothing. He's got to get something out of it, right?
Of course, dude. So we'll see what happens. I'm not worried about TikTok leaving right now. I don't think that it's going to leave. I think he's got too much to gain with TikTok sticking around.
Well, you mentioned before that it all comes down to his vanity. Yeah. And his vanity has become recently heavily tied in with TikTok. He's bragging about the youth vote, which on one level he should. He did get these young, dumb guys to vote his way, and that really was from the social media influencers and the TikTok world. But he's on TikTok. He's got one of the biggest accounts on there. You and I were goofing the other day. Donald Trump Jr. has now joined in his first live hangout at Mar-a-Lago.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think that they enjoy not only the attention that they get from TikTok, but you remember when Trump ran in 2016 that I don't know if you felt this way, but I did. When he would say, you know, I'm using Twitter, I was like, what president uses Twitter, dude? And well, look at the world now, dude. I mean, I was way behind the curve on that one. So, yeah, social media, having a following like he does on TikTok is important.
Yes, and he doesn't want to lose that. And we don't want to lose TikTok either. The day somebody can tell us why we should be afraid of it, that the Chinese government is spying on me directly through my phone, like if you can show us something actually happening, because all of it right now is just they could do this, they could do that.
Didn't you were telling me earlier this week a conversation that you had with a technical support guy that was in India. What did he say?
Yeah. So, I'm working with another company on their website development and social media marketing because I do a lot of that for us nowadays. So I'll give a plug. It's called cancerfitness.com. There's this whole new genre out there of how exercise can really help with prep for cancer surgery and then more so the recovery after it. And yes, my dad's an oncologist, and he's the one behind all of this. So I'm trying to help him.
World-renowned. Dude, don't sell him short here.
Right. No, it's true. So yeah, he's developing this whole new thing, and I was on a conference call, a Zoom call with his web developer who's based in India. And two funny things. First of all, this dude, based on his just appearance, probably somewhere around 30, he was wearing a Led Zeppelin sweatshirt for our whole meeting. And like we've said before, everyone hates America except our pop culture, our music, our movies. So here's a 30-something-year-old dude in India rocking a Led Zeppelin shirt. That's great.
You should have asked him. I always love to ask young people, like, what's your favorite Led Zeppelin song? And they're like, who? Huh? What? Oh, my shirt. Yeah. I don't know. I'd be
disappointed if he didn't have the right answer, and then I'd have to make fun of him. And that would probably sound racist, so I didn't want to do that. But anyway, so I mentioned to this guy that we're going to be doing little short-form videos for this website, and the TikTok is one of the sites we'll have it on. And he was like, hey, great idea. I hear nothing but good things about TikTok, but I can't watch it here in India because our government has banned TikTok here.
And which I didn't even think of that, but yeah. And we were discussing that whole operation. He said, hey, we don't like China. China doesn't like us. Yeah. Way easier to shut down in India, right? If they want to shut down, they just shut it down.
Yes. I mean, I don't know exactly what form of government they have there, but it's not a straight up and down democracy. And he had said that basically his government does not like the Chinese government, so they shut it down a long time ago, which I can actually accept that answer better in some ways. Just we freaking hate China, so that's why we're banning it. This whole they could do something, like that's just un-American. We're going to force you to sell it to an American company is what the law says. Why can't a Canadian company buy it? A Mexican company, a Swedish company. Why do we have to? That's just so strong-armed American. But
and aren't we innocent until proven guilty, dude? Come on.
That's supposed to be the principle. So, yeah, we haven't heard what they could or what they are doing, which is what they could. But at least India just kind of owned it. Apparently, it was just like we don't like the Chinese, so we're just not even going to let you guys have this. So it's been banned there for a while.
Interesting. Well, you can see us on TikTok as of now, and we've got some great content there. So thanks for joining the podcast.
Indeed. We do two of these every week. And if you're a loyal listener, you know that the first one to drop every week is Need to Know News. As Nick and I have discussed during the Need to Know News segments, like the news cycle is just completely out of control. And we weren't set up to be a straight political show, but that's almost all we've been talking about because that's what's been dominating the hell out of the news cycle.
Much to my chagrin, I don't mind reporting on it and talking about it because it's part of my life, your life. I mean, we don't fake this to put the show on, but it's nice to step away from all of the political conversation at some point and go back to the roots of what this show was founded on, and that was the life, the living, the pop culture, that side of life.
Right. It's always been politics and pop culture, music, and all that kind of stuff. But it's tilted towards the politics, which, it's doing well for us. It's what's getting the most engagement, I think, in a lot of the social media worlds because it's what is trending. It's what people are talking about. So that's cool. But I have a long list of news stories that we just did not get to this last week or two. And I want to talk about some of these stories that are not political. So this is usually our topic show. So I guess today's topic is leftover pop culture news that we want to discuss with you.
I think that's a great topic, dude.
So let me run through some of these. The first one, listen, this is a depressing story, or maybe it's not. I think that's maybe what I'm trying to ask out of this story is, how do you take this? You're a big fan of Conan O'Brien. I know. You and I both have loved Conan since the NBC days and everything he's done ever since.
Yes, I think he's one of the most underrated people in the writing and the comedy world. I mean, he's fantastic.
Yes, everything he has done talk show-wise and even his new podcast is great. Howard Stern wrote a whole book about his favorite all-time interviews, and Conan O'Brien was Howard Stern's favorite interview because he was just so open and engaging, and they had a great conversation.
He is. He's so real. I mean, he is just a person, whether in his comedy or in his interviewing. I mean, yeah, I can't say enough about Conan.
I was actually a Conan fan, or even knew I was a Conan fan, because I'm a big Simpsons fan. And the first season or two of The Simpsons, it was a sitcom. Bart was the star, Homer was the dad. But then if you're a fan of The Simpsons, somewhere around seasons 3 and 4, Homer started to become the star. And Bart was the side character. And their comedy just became very clever and witty, quotable, brilliant. And I later in life learned that Conan O'Brien was one of the writers that got hired away from SNL to go write on The Simpsons. And he's one of the people that helped push them in that whole new direction. So, brilliant guy.
And also a national treasure to be protected. He must be protected. He's predicted the future with The Simpsons over and over and over again. I mean, yeah, we got to protect Conan, dude.
So, sad news, maybe inspirational news. Conan O'Brien's parents both died this past week, 3 days apart from each other after 66 years of marriage.
Wow. That's, oof. It gave me a little bit of chills just because, I mean, what a freaking tough moment, dude. I mean, I can't imagine.
His dad was 95 and his mom was 92. They both died peacefully 3 days apart from each other. The exact cause hasn't been released, but what does it matter? So obviously the first sentiment, I mean, Conan, I mean, nothing but condolences to you, man. I mean, Nick, you've lost one of your parents, and I've seen the struggle that's caused you. I've been dreading the death of my parents since I was a little kid, and they're getting older, and health effects are, they're both starting to have ailments and whatnot. So to think of both of my parents dying within 3 days of each other, I mean, on one emotional level, I don't know that I could take that.
I don't think it's something you come back from, at least as the same person. You may come back and get on with life, but that'd change you, right?
I would think so. But is there something beautiful about that, romantic about that? To know that his parents, they were married for 66 years. And you hear about this every now and again because all they know is each other, intertwined with each other. So when one dies, the other often dies pretty soon after. And of course, that's sad for those that are left behind. But I also find something inspirational and romantic about that. I would love to have that kind of scenario.
It's a real notebook type moment, and there is something very romantic about it, I don't know. This would be a good question for your pops. I don't know if it's in any medical journal to get more information on it, but what I do know is it's a real thing to die of a broken heart. And, what it is in a romantic way, I think about all the time. The song I'll Follow You Into the Dark by Death Cab. Rachel and I say all the time, like, I think I'd be fine going out if you were going out. Like, maybe I don't want to be around anymore.
Well, I was going to say, I also can think of nothing sadder than being in a relationship that long and then your spouse dies and you're just left alone. I mean, from the emotional side, obviously, to lose your life partner like that, down to the practical of, like, I don't know the ATM pin. I don't know how we pay our utility bills. There's something very nice, I would think, about we're just going to go out together, essentially.
Yeah, no, there's something to be said about that. We've had that conversation. Rachel travels a lot, as you know. She's got a book for me that if she dies, like, it has all the info that I don't know or that I don't daily take care of. And she sent it to me. I don't know. She probably sends it to me once a year and updates it. And it's just, I get an email and it's like my death book. It's just like awesome. That's so hilarious. Yeah, that is a real thing. I would happen to think that what I do know about Conan as just a figure that I've watched for a long time, I bet he found some good in this. As hard as it was for him, I bet he found some good in that to know that neither of them are alone at this point. That was one of my big things when my dad died, was like, he's alone. Now my mom's alone. So there would be something somewhat comforting about that, to be like, they're still together, whether it's in heaven or an energy or whatever you believe, they could still be together.
Yeah. I wonder if there's some upside too of, like, grieving, like for Conan, for those left behind, of just, it would be one thing to have my dad die, I grieve for a year, and then my mom dies and I go through the whole cycle again. Like, is it almost emotionally easier to just grieve for both of them at once, or is that just even more devastating?
Yeah, I don't know that. I think that'd be a personal journey. I don't know if you could just answer that question, because everybody reacts differently. But, I feel bad for Conan, dude. That's tough, but hopefully you look at it with a little perspective of, that's another question. When people get old enough, do you think it's easier to lose them? That's a real question.
Yeah. I think on one level, knowing that they've lived a long, full life, his parents were 95 and 92. I mean, that's about the best any of us can hope for. I mean, I guess the ultimate goal is to be on the can of the Smucker's jam or whatever, being announced at you're 100 years old by,
Right.
who was that, Wilford Brimley or something? I don't know.
No, dude, not Wilford Brimley. Wilford something, but
Yeah, though, the morning news guy thing. But yeah, I don't know what kind of quality of life you're really living if you're up to 100, 101 and all that. So yeah, I mean, certainly the younger you die, the infinitely more tragic that is. So to know that, yeah, your parents lived a long, successful life into their 90s, I think there has to be solace there.
Yes, I think there's got to be some. I mean, I'm not claiming that makes it easy, but I will say that I lost my dad. He died when he was 71, and relatively speaking, I wished he would have had another 10 years, at least. But now that I've seen him pass, and he was scared of dying, and I guess we don't know how we'll feel until we're in that moment. But what I have been able to do is see my mom, and she doesn't want to die, but I know that she's okay with it because she talks about the life she's had. She doesn't leave shit unsaid. So there is a cool point about getting to a certain age where you're like, I've had a great life, you know?
Yep. I wonder when I will reach that point because I have always I've always wondered, how will I die? What age will I be? What will the circumstances be? But as I'm approaching 50, I'm starting to warm up to the idea that there is something I think that will be cathartic about, I'm done. I don't have to worry about all this stuff that I've been worrying about. All of whatever it's paying bills just everything that is the daily grind, that I have to imagine there will be some level of peace of knowing I'm done with all this. I don't want to hurt those that I leave behind. I don't want to die prematurely, but there's got to be some level of living a full life of knowing I've been there, I've done that. I'm okay with this.
I think watching my mom do it, that it's become my goal to be, because we don't know what tomorrow holds. Either one of us could leave this earth tomorrow. To be able to live your life as much as you can with nothing unsaid. Like everyone that I love, they know how I feel about them. I don't leave that unsaid. But knowing that I'm living a good enough life that, boom, it's gone tomorrow, I'd be like, I had a great life, dude.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on assisted suicide? Let's open a whole can of worms here. I feel like if I reach the point where I'm old enough that my quality of life has fallen apart, I don't think I want to be just kept alive for the fun of it. Now, part of me thinks I want to see every second of my kids' lives I possibly could. But I don't want to be tortured. I could see reaching a ripe old age where I just decide it's been enough. Whether it's because my health is failing or my finance, I could see reaching a point where I decide to just end this now on my terms in a dignified sort of way and not make it a shock to everyone. Let them know, I'm done with this. I'm alive telling you that I'm at peace with this and this is what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing, dude, to be honest with you. My mom's a believer in it. I don't think anyone should have to die without dignity. Yeah. I don't think people should have to suffer when they die. Yeah. If you know you're dying, hey, have you seen any of the documentaries? Because it's legal in Oregon. And there's been a couple of documentaries done on it where they actually go and spend the last couple of weeks with the person. And then it's a thing where most of the time I've seen it on those documentaries is the family will come over and the guy takes his drink and he's got about 20 minutes and they're all around him. I think it's a beautiful thing, really.
I think it should be a choice, much like abortion should be a choice on one end of this, existence of ours. The option to end your life on your terms is, I would be all for it. I grew up in Michigan, and Dr. Jack Kevorkian, that's where he's from. So that was huge news in our area. But
he did it in a van, right?
Yeah, or some a little shady circumstances.
Yeah.
But he was a doctor and he did it peacefully. But yeah, he got prosecuted. I was just reading a story about these Swedish death pods that Sweden has developed. And I do believe the people that did the first one, they all got arrested. So, like, I would say if someone wants to do that to themselves, your body, your choice.
Your body, your choice. That's right, dude. And I'm not going to keep people acting naive, all right? If you've been around the experience of people dying when they go on hospice, listen, hospice is ending their life, whether you want to think so or not. They're giving them medications to keep them out of pain, and usually they end up stopping somebody's heart. You know, I mean, it happens. So let it happen on my terms, where I want to say, I'm going to have a great barbecue with my family. And then on Saturday, this is my plan, dude. And I love you guys, you know?
Yeah, for sure. On a similar topic of a life well lived or a life not well lived, another story in the world of pop culture came up this week that I think initially made me angry, and then it really started making me sad. You know, we've talked about the Kelce brothers on the show before, Travis and Jason, famous football players that have now been made uber famous by the fact that Travis Kelce is dating Taylor Swift. But his brother, Jason Kelce, in this, the New Heights podcast, is that what those two do?
Yeah.
And now they're commentators. I mean, they're huge celebrities. And several months back, we were both kind of poking fun at Jason Kelce, but you more so got some grief because he took off his shirt at some sporting event. It was just hooping it up, and we were kind of ripping on him. And we posted that thing online, and a whole bunch of people told us, like, hey, guys, I see the joke you're making, but you got to understand, these Kelce brothers are actually really good dudes. You should cut them some slack.
That's the truth, dude. I didn't know anything about him. And yeah, taking your shirt off and screaming at a football game, you know, intoxicated, not my bag, kind of douchebaggy. But people said, hey, these guys are actually really good dudes. And I've changed my opinion, you know?
Yeah. So then this news story came out. Like I said, it pissed me off, but then I think it makes me more sad, if anything. So people have been left too stunned to speak after Kylie Kelce admitted that her husband, Jason Kelce, does not ever watch their kids. Doesn't matter if he's home alone, if she's not going to be home, she schedules childcare. She'll watch the kids if he's doing his podcast or on ESPN or something, but she's got her own life now with her own podcast and stuff. So he never watches his own kids. Even if he's home, she will schedule a babysitter.
So is it her fault or his, you know? You and I always talk about the fact that, like, you know, I hate a dad who says, like, got to babysit my kids tonight, you know, wife's going out, got to babysit the kids. Oh, you have to be a dad, you mean? Like, so, yeah, I don't know. Do they have some weird thing going on or what? I would say stop getting childcare, dude. Let's see if he steps up.
Yeah, I mean, she's enabling, but he's the one with the problem. Like, why he wouldn't say, like, oh, you hired a babysitter? No, turn around, go home. Here's your money. I'll pay you anyways. But I, of course, can be home with my own kids. Now, the guy is retired from football, but doing a bunch of other stuff. And that was her justification. She said, it's not a knock on my husband. My husband is busier than he's ever been. He's working so hard. He's really grinding right now. So I just make sure that he's always covered no matter what. Here would be my plea to Jason Kelce, man. You are missing out on parts of your kids' lives that you will never get back. And I know you're trying to provide for them. But if you leave them $300 million versus $400 million, they're going to be fine. They're living a privileged life now. You're going to be able to leave them plenty of money. But brother, human to human, father to father, you are missing out. That's on your deathbed what you're going to regret. Not that you didn't do one more Gatorade commercial to make an extra $1 million. You are missing out on your children's lives, and you're setting a pretty lousy example for what a good dad should be.
That's an interesting perspective, and it's one of those things that takes a little bite of your heart because you don't oftentimes realize it until it's too late. Heed the advice, Mr. Kelce. Like, heed the advice, because you're right. These moments, hey, look, from afar, I've got to see your kids grow up, right? The amount of change that happens within them as people, the way they look, the way they act in, you know, my 2 times a year visit is so incredible to me that I wonder, where did all that time go, dude? What did they go through on a daily basis to become this person?
It goes by very quickly. And I remember when my kids were ages like 5 and 9 or something, a dad who had kids who were older, he told me, I think I was showing him pictures of me playing like Fort with the kids and doing like Nerf dart gun wars and stuff. And he told me, he said, when your kids hit after the age of 10, all of this goes away. All of this playing with them like that, like, doesn't mean you can't still have a good relationship, but this phase of it is done. And I have now seen that in real time. That phase is done. Now, there's advantages to the kids getting older. We can do more. We can go to concerts now together and stuff. Like, there's other stuff you can do. But each of these phases of life is finite. And if you miss it because you're out there grinding away to try to provide a better life for that kid, you don't understand what you're depriving them and yourself. I would just tell you, Jason, like, you've got to balance that stuff better.
I'd even give a little more leeway if financially you were struggling and like you're out there grinding. But like, absolutely, I'm pretty sure that you could stop working right now and you're generationally wealthy.
Absolutely. And that's a great distinction. There are some parents out there grinding because they got to pay the light bill and the rent or whatever. Like, that's a whole different category. I come from a long line of lawyers and doctors, and then I ended up the radio guy, And my grandfather on his deathbed told my dad that I spent too much time in the office. Do not repeat the mistake I made. And my dad had already made that mistake. So he then passed it on to me and begged me not to make that mistake. And I've done my best to balance it. I've tried to provide a good life, but I also try to enjoy all these moments. So, yeah, you cannot get caught up. Life is about balance. We talk about this all the time. And this is such a great example where I said, like, I wanted to be pissed at Jason Kelce for being a shitty dad, but, dude, you don't see how much you're shooting yourself in the foot.
It's interesting. Hopefully you'll give them some perspective.
Well, hopefully the Kelces will have us on the New Heights podcast so I can share this information and they can send some listeners our way. So
be helpful.
Help us out, people. We are grinding to keep the lights on. So
hey, here's the deal. We'll fill in for you. It's just on one podcast. You can spend a nice few hours with your kids, dude. You one-on-one.
I don't know if you've seen his wife, but she's smoking hot. So spend some more time with her, too, dude. What's all this money you're earning if you're not spending time with your wife and kids? Come on.
Yeah. Well, they don't want any more kids, dude. They got enough.
Well, let's segue yet again on the topic of having kids. Another fun article I came across this past week or so. These are the top 10 places that Americans fantasize about having sex.
Can I think just clearly for one moment? I'm going to see if I could fantasize having sex somewhere, and then I want to know if it's on the list, okay?
I will tell you there's a top 10, and then they interviewed an expert who said, I'm surprised these didn't make the list because I hear about them in couples therapy all the time. So give me a couple of examples, and let's see if they're on the top 10 or the honorable mention list.
I think it depends. Everyone thinks sex on the beach is so great until they have the sand in their vagina and, in their buttholes and stuff. So, like, the thought of sex on the beach is very great to me, but the reality might not be as good. I would also maybe think in an elevator, just hit the button, set the fire alarm or whatever, and just have a real quickie.
Loving an elevator. Big
yeah.
So, yeah.
That's right. Maybe backstage at a concert, dude.
Oh, that's a good one. That's very specific. That's nice. Yeah. You got any others or?
No. Those are fun. I'm all fine with what we've done.
Okay. So let me run down the top 10 and give me your thoughts, but also tell me, has this ever happened? So the sexual wellness company Love Honey surveyed 2,000 U.S. adults about the place they fantasize most about having sex. I don't know if these are in the correct order, but I'm just going to give them as they listed. These could just be the 10 answers. I don't know if it's actually ranked, top to
yeah.
bottom. So number one on the list is in the shower. Fantasize about having sex in the shower.
I guess, it depends what kind of shower it is. It can become tough, especially, when I was younger, I had sex in the shower, like when I was in my 30s. But now that I'm nearing 50, sex in the shower needs to be set up properly. There might need to be a little teak bench in there, some handrails, stuff like that.
Right. I have had sex in the shower many times. So I don't know that this is a fantasy thing. It's been a reality. The kind of shower matters infinitely. I've tried several times in the old shower tub combo with the shower curtain there.
Yeah.
Man, that's a tough one right there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to go back to your earlier ages to do that. Like I said, some of these things I'm sure on this list already we're seeing are going to sound great, but in reality, well, maybe not.
Right. Now, the big, more modern showers that are walk-in, and if you have a double-headed shower stall, like that's stuff. But I will tell you, I can remember doing that a few times earlier in my life where I didn't have an issue. But when I was married, later in the marriage, we had a double-headed shower, like the walk-in thing, and we would try to do it in there. And man, my knees on the tile. Like I ended up having to bring towels in there and just letting them get soaked so that I don't remember that problem in my 20s or 30s.
No, you need it. That's what I'm saying, dude. You need some adjustment.
Right. Number 2 on the list. And you brought it up. On the beach is a common fantasy. And I will tell you, there was only one time in my life I came this close to having it happen. And then, I don't know, the girl got cold feet or something and it didn't happen. And I was bummed on that particular trip of like, I've always wanted to live this fantasy of sex on the beach, but I'd be willing to bet you're completely right. The sand getting everywhere and the waves, salt water in your eyes or whatever it is. Like,
listen, dude, especially think about it this way. If you come out of the ocean and then lay down in the sand, everywhere, the sand is everywhere. And if you are, doing the right thing and the girl's turned on, it's going to be wet down there and it's going to have it's going to get sand in it. It's not a comfortable thing for people.
And I'm all for some level of risque sex in public, where, maybe you could be discovered. But anytime I've done that, I am 99% guarded and protected with that just small lingering excitement of someone could see you. If you're on a beach, I mean, how do you hide that at all?
Maybe it's either like a little private area, or I would think it's nighttime on the beach,
Then I'd be worried about Jaws coming up at me as I'm.
It's so popular that they made a drink called Sex on the Beach. Like, people fantasize about this, but I think until you do it, you may not realize. Yeah, it's just like taking sandpaper and rubbing it on your coochie and everywhere else.
Right. Yes. The next one on the list, this is a place apparently people fantasize about. To me, this is a last, gasp, desperation. The times I've done it, I hated it. Having sex in a car.
I haven't had sex in a car since I lived at home.
Right. I mean, honestly, the last time I was probably 19 or 20, and it was out of necessity. Lived in a house with a bunch of people. We wanted to do it, so we escaped in the car and drove down some, dead-end road. But man, is it difficult. I mean, cars, I don't know what kind of car you people are driving, but any normal car is pretty cramped, hard to get around. Usually got seatbelts poking you or emergency brake. Or,
I think you know what? When we were kids or, teenagers having sex, cars were smaller. We were driving older model 80s cars, and they were smaller. Today, I could see having sex in my truck. Like, if I went in the back seat of my truck, I have plenty of room to have sex.
Is there some adult part of you, though, that's like, don't get anything on the upholstery. Don't get anything on the upholstery.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I will tell you, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not. Kennedy and I were fooling around on the couch the other day, and I just kept having that thought in my brain of like, no, I don't want to get any stains on this couch. Like if I was in my car that I keep very nice and clean, that would of course be my concern.
Yeah. All of that stuff I think can probably be washed out. So you should live in the moment, Steve. You'll get the stain off your couch. Don't worry about it.
Well, I think my stains can come out, but I think we've told the story before. We worked with a guy at a radio station that went out in the middle of a workday and bought a brand new BMW because he was having an affair, cheating on his wife, had sex in his BMW. The woman bled all over the seats. You're not getting that out.
I wouldn't think so. I've never tried, but yeah, that's a bad situation.
How about a clean bed for this champion?
Yes, exactly. You do need a clean bed.
I would not fantasize about being in a car. This next one is also a little debatable. I think I tried it once and it didn't go very well. In a pool.
Oh, okay.
You would think with water all around you, everything would be lubricated. But actually, I don't know if it's chlorine or what, but that actually makes things very difficult And you can't lube up. Although Astroglide makes a waterproof lubricant that you could try that I've experimented with. But
I know what you mean. It's kind of a dry. It dries her out a little bit with that chlorine in there. Yeah. If I'll tell you what, I've had great sex in a pool or hot tub, a pool,
submerged.
And yes, and it has to be done quickly. Like it has to be 2-minute ordeal, a quickie.
Yeah, I could see. I've never done it. Like I said, I recall one time back in Michigan, like we were in some pool and it gave it a 30-second effort. It just didn't work very well. But I could see the fantasy of knee deep in the water. You bend over the side of the pool or the hot tub, so you're kind of in the water and stuff. But actually being submerged, like I don't know, it doesn't seem very practical.
Well, let us know. Try it, dude. Bring your Astroglide. Prove your theory.
Right. Yeah, I will try. I tried having sex in a backyard once, and it was just like I'm getting poked by sticks and grass. Like it was, the fantasy sounded great. The reality of it, I'm 2 minutes in. I'm just like, can we go somewhere else? This is ridiculous. Kudos to us for trying, but this is dumb.
Listen, things change as we get older, right? Because when we were, 17, 18 years old, all that we could think of was poon. So I would have poon sex on the battlefield, dude. I mean, I'll have sex with you. And now today I'm like, yeah, we probably should get up on our comfortable Tempur-Pedic.
No, it could be a sign of the times. You're right. The next one on the list related to both the pool and the beach, and that's actually having sex in the ocean. That just seems very difficult. Salt everywhere. Not to mention, I don't know, I don't need some sea bass nibbling on my kibbles and bits,
Yeah, well, and also I've got a hole in my pole. Like I don't want anything going in there either. I don't know that I like that.
No, that doesn't sound good at all. The next one on the list, these are apparently the top 10 places people fantasize about having sex. I'll bring the same reason as I did for the car. On top of a pool table. Now, the old 8-ball in the corner pocket may sound fun, but man, pool tables are expensive. Don't get anything on that felt. Like, what?
Dude, let me tell you that is you've been watching too many White Snake videos, like I have no interest in having sex on a dirty bar pool table. Nothing sounds worse to me.
Or speaking of White Snake, I'm not doing it on the hood of my Camaro or whatever. You're going to dent that car. Come on, woman. I'd rather do it in the back seat than the hood of my car. Like, yay.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound practical. Number 7 on the list of places adults fantasize about having sex, at work. Yeah, been there, done that.
I'm trying. I've never had sex at work, dude. I have. I mean, when I worked at home, I had sex, but never in my workplace.
Yeah, the COVID era has opened this wide, I suppose.
Yeah,
never at a radio station all these years, huh?
No, I've never had sex at a radio station.
Wow, I've had it at almost every radio station you and I have ever worked at. So,
did you have it at the first one we worked at?
Yeah. No, so not the tower, but when we moved to East Lake, yes, for sure.
Okay. All right. Did you have it at the Buzz?
That's a good question. I don't know that I did there, actually. So that's debatable. But in Tahoe, at the old station, at the most recent old station, and with different people spanning different eras. So, yes.
Wow.
I also think, though, there's something sexy about doing it at a radio station. Chicks seem to dig that. And these weren't groupies. Like, these were people I was in a relationship with. But there's something very naughty about doing it at the radio station. And I've even been on air before, too. So,
you've been on air as you're pumping?
Yeah, or at least heavy petting and fooling around. You were listening once, and I played the same song twice in a row. Like, I was not paying attention all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Next one on the list, in a sauna. You're in a sauna right now. I don't know. With having sex in an actual hot, steamy sauna, does that sound good or bad?
Terrible to me. I mean, I'm not good in the heat anyway, and let me tell you that if I'm having sex, I'm already hot, even if I'm in an air-conditioned bedroom. So yeah, no, I don't want to be in a sauna.
I have told Kennedy this, and I will reiterate publicly. If I die having sex, that is what I want, okay? That is a great way to leave this earth. And I feel because my mind is significantly younger than my body. Like as I'm approaching 50, I am still banging away like a horny 19-year-old. And at some point, my body is going to veto that. And there's many sessions where we get done and you can just feel my heart just pounding away. So at 48, fine. 58, 68, 78, I don't know. That may give out at some point. And if you're in a sauna, you're pretty much begging for a heart attack.
Listen, you are horny. Right. I mean, you're a horny person, dude. Okay. I want to know if you die having sex and I'm still alive, like, do you want your partner to tell me that that's how you died and you want me to spread it around?
Assuming my kids are adults, which they better be. I would say that should be the opening line at the funeral. Harness died doing exactly what he wanted to be doing. He's 6 foot down in a hole. And last night he was 6 inches down into a hole, having the time of his life. So
I could just see, dude, if I go to your funeral and I speak, I will wear my tuxedo T-shirt, and I'll give that sermon, Steve. I will say, you know what, his pole got him in a lot of trouble, but now it's killed him. He's done. That's how he wanted to go out. So.
The poll always puts me in some hole. It should put me in the ultimate one at the end, too. So I'm okay with that. But sauna seems like you're asking for a lot there.
Yes.
Back to the car topic. How about in a limousine? Does that make a car more desirable? Yeah, a little more room to roam. It's sort of glamorous, right?
I suppose. I mean, I think once I've gone to prom, like, I don't really care about a limousine at this stage in my life, you know.
That'd be a very rock star moment, though. And I'm all about rock star moments. So
yeah.
And it's a rental, I would assume. So who cares if you're staying there, upholstery or whatever. So
yeah, it'd be much more comfortable than doing it in your Honda Accord, you know.
Yes. The last one on the top 10 list, and then I'll get into the honorable mention. This is a weird one. People gave this answer as a place they fantasize about having sex in a friend or family member's home. What?
I'll tell you a story, dude, okay? Just because I love you. Yeah. Some of the greatest sex I've ever had was at my brother's house, okay? And it was in a bathroom, and everyone was just outside the door, okay? So it had that illusion of like, I wonder if people wonder why we're in here for so long. I wonder if people can hear us, that kind of thing. Yeah. And since I guess it was my brother, it wasn't like my mom was out there. I don't know. There was something exciting about it that I enjoyed a whole bunch.
But it was that risque part, like that you could be caught. Was it actually like, I just want to go have sex in my brother's house? Like that?
No, you know what? When it happened, we just wanted to have sex. We were horny, and that was our first moment away from everybody, and we couldn't keep our hands off each other. So, but it did make it more exciting to know that there were people outside that there's a good possibility you might know what's going on in here.
I mean, we were talking on the last episode or two about people going home for the holidays. Are you going to have sex at grandma's house or your mom's house in your childhood bedroom and all that? Like,
right.
I'll do it because it's a necessity or whatever, but I can't imagine being like, it would be so hot as to go to Nick's house and just have a pool table room or something. Like, that makes no sense in my head whatsoever.
Some of these answers that are on this list make me think that these are 20-somethings,
Yeah, that could be. It's a fair point. I will say the first girl I ever I lost my virginity to, which I was 19. I was on the older side of things. She had some weird thing. She would always, I lived in an apartment with a couple of roommates, and so did she. Different apartments, different roommates. But whichever apartment she was at, she would often say, let's go in my roommate's bed. Let's go in Nate's bed at your place. She always wanted to be in someone else's bed. Some reason that turned her on.
It's dirty.
Yeah, it's a violation.
It's dirty, dude.
It seems like a violation of roommate etiquette to just sneak into someone's bed and bang away. But yeah, she was into it.
That's very strange. Everyone's got a kink, though. Everyone's got a kink. So it doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I think I'm just rolling back to my 20s. And I think like, oh, yeah, these are answers I would have given in my 20s. They're not so much answers, all of them anyway, that I would give now.
Yeah, that's fair. And by the way, that woman turned out to be very emotionally unstable. So it might not be a coincidence. So.
It doesn't surprise me.
Indeed. All right, so that's the official top 10 list, but let me just throw this out there. Clinical sexologist and sexuality educator Lawrence Siegel told the Huffington Post that the results of the survey are pretty consistent with other findings on the topic. He was, however, surprised by a few locations that did not make the list that he hears about commonly. Mm-hmm. Those are airplane bathroom. Mm-hmm.
Right, the Mile High Club.
Yeah. A hot tub. Now, that kind of straddles between the whole ocean and the pool, but apparently that's a little more specific.
Yeah, a little more maybe romantic, chilling in the tub.
A store dressing room. This gets back to the E. Jean Carroll case, I guess, where Trump assaulted her in a dressing room in a department store. I guess maybe I've heard of that, but that's never popped up on my radar at all, wanting to go in a dressing room.
This is actually Donald Trump talking to E.G. Carroll.
I do everything. I mean, I do you right now.
Wow, dude.
Dressing room, a bar or a club in the bathroom. I guess I have heard of that, but that's just, that's ultimate horniness if you can't get anywhere better than a skeezy bathroom at a bar.
Dude, that is so foul to me that I think if I was depraved enough to have sex in a bathroom, a dirty bar bathroom, I don't think I could ever do it again. I think it's so foul, dude.
Yeah. The last one that he says is a common one, and I will say this has been one of mine that I have fulfilled a couple of times. And if anyone's listening, I'm fine with fulfilling it many more times in my life. A hotel balcony.
Huh. Okay, like in a magical land, like, I don't know, say Greece or...
I'll do it at the Motel 6 off Highway 99 or something. But certainly an exotic location is all the better. But there's something so cool about a balcony because you're outside. There's that sort of risqueness. You are being a bit of a provocateur because you're on display. But you also should be somewhat safe because you're elevated. No one can actually walk up to you. It'd be hard to figure out which room you're in. So there's a little risque, a little bit of the open air nature. Something I like about a balcony.
Okay. Well, yeah, hopefully that happens for you. I'm trying to think if I've ever had sex on the balcony before. Not that I can think of, it's hard to recall. Here's a question for you. In all of these places, does it count if you are just rubbing your chub? Like if you just masturbated in any of these places? Because I think it's more common than sex for a lot of people to masturbate in all of these areas that you've mentioned.
Yeah. Listen, this may be slightly hypocritical of me, but no, I think that makes you creepy. If you are jerking off on the beach, in a pool, on a pool table, in a limousine, in the dressing room in a department store, no, that makes you sex offender listed. Not awesome,
That is hysterical, dude, in your car.
Yeah, no, that's called the cops kind of behavior. So,
yeah.
I will say the one thing that was not on this list that I can't believe no one else thought of, on a dirt bike out in the middle of nowhere, nature. Like, that's a very common fantasy in my head. So,
you can't believe no one else thought of that. That is so specific, dude, that I don't think that maybe there's other people. I don't know.
Yes. Well, I have achieved that fantasy, by the way. So good times.
Okay.
I highly recommend it, by the way. The whole thing, the dirt bike, the sex out in nature on the dirt bike. Like it's nothing but a fun scenario. Everything with the dirt bike is more fun, okay?
Do you have to be circumcised to do something like that?
I'm circumcised. I got my son circumcised. I'm not religious.
Okay. Sounds fun, dude. Sounds
Glad
fun.
I can answer these questions for everyone. So there you go.
Well, good.
Let me see. I got 2 more articles still we can get through here. We got a couple more minutes. You ready?
All right. Yes, I am.
All right. So this article actually came out several weeks ago, but I have a point to bringing it up still. We had originally talked maybe 2 months ago about the fact that Dave Grohl, singer for Foo Fighters, drummer for Nirvana, one of my rock and roll heroes, that he, got caught cheating on his wife of many years. They have kids together. And Dave Grohl had an affair with some like weird porn star and got outed.
Busted a nut in her poon.
Right. Thank you for the description. Yeah. I assume so. I mean, who knows where exactly he busted it.
Right.
But yeah, so Dave Grohl got caught. And when I read that story on the show, I had told you that Dave Grohl did retain a divorce lawyer before telling his wife, because this was all going to become public, so he wanted to get to her first. And, everyone wondered, was it going to destroy their marriage or not? And again, this is a few weeks old, but new report on how Dave Grohl's wife is doing after the revelation that he, that's the other thing, he had a baby. That's why it was going to come out. That's right, because he actually impregnated his mistress.
Yeah, he busted a nut in her poon, dude. I told you.
You're right. I didn't realize the technical explanation you were giving us. So.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. At the time, a source told People magazine that Dave had retained a divorce lawyer, like I just shared. A few days later, a report claimed that Jordan had known for a while, that's his wife, about the baby mama news. Now, though, newest reports from People magazine alleges that Jordan is focusing on her own life and the children following Dave's affair. Friends say that it's been rough for her, and her mind is not on the marriage, though she doesn't trust Dave, and she is not wearing a wedding ring anymore. That is the red flag right there. In my marriage, when we got near the end of the marriage before my ex had said, like, I think we should get divorced, I don't actually love you anymore, she just kept magically finding ways to not wear her wedding ring. And I just kept getting gaslit by her. Oh, I'm going to get it damaged at work, or I lost. Oh, now I found I got to get it cleaned. I got to get it resized. Like, she just kept gaslighting me.
What would you say, dude? Well, I mean, when she would give, like, maybe the first one, you say, like, oh, maybe we should get you one of those silicone ones. But when she kept coming up with stuff, I'm imagining you were hurt.
Oh, I was definitely hurt. I was too, naive or whatever it was to think that that's where it was going. But no, I definitely noticed and was hurt by it, and would say, like, all right, you're not at work now. We're going out for the evening. Could you put your wedding ring on? Like, it just looks weird and why am I wearing a wedding ring still and you're not wearing one? Like, what's really going on? Eventually, I became suspicious, but I didn't realize what a dead giveaway telltale sign that is. So I will predict that Dave Grohl and his wife are going to get divorced, because you take that ring off, you're done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, dude, once you nut and poon someone else's poon, that the ring's coming off. I mean, that's probably a more precise way to know you're getting divorced.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Dave Grohl, who would have brought this on himself, to say the least. But yeah, she takes the ring off. And the other thing, too, the good time oldie, how do you know if he loves you so?
It's in his kiss, right?
Right. And I also learned that lesson. My old high school buddy Emily had told me that back in high school. Like, you can tell if a girl's really into you by the way she kisses you. And, when we all start relationships, the kissing, it's hot and heavy and all that. But near the end of my marriage, I started getting the grandma thing. I'd go to give my wife a kiss, and she'd turn to give me the cheek. Or she'd pucker up her lips, like, give me a little grandma kiss. And I was always like, what the hell? Why are you not kissing me? But again, I was just so ignorantly gaslit and naive.
Yeah.
Like, she's not wearing the ring and she's not kissing you passionately. Give up. It's done. It's over.
It's done. It's all, save some time is what you're saying.
Yes. Save time, save misery. So we will see what happens, but I don't think that's a good sign for Dave Grohl and guys in general. Yes. The ring goes away. You're going away soon enough.
Dave Grohl has turned his marriage, which at one point was ever long, and now it's never long. Okay.
That's right. So there you go. And then just one last thing I'll throw out real quickly. We have talked about this on the show, the fact that we're getting older and that we don't seem quite as sharp. Sometimes you forget a name of a celebrity, or that, that Dave Matthews album I know, so I just can't freaking think of the name. And part of that certainly is just getting older. Part of it is normal life. I can remember being 20 and not being able to remember what, Pearl Jam's second drummer's name was or something, right?
Sure.
But, as you do get older, I mean, Alzheimer's, dementia, brain health, it is a concern. And it's become a concern for me for a few different reasons. But one of them is this show, that I want to stay as sharp and as witty as I can. I also want to be able to smoke my pot and have other fun in life with maybe dulling my brain a notch. So,
sure.
How do you balance it all out? There are some medications out there, some herbal things, whatnot, that I know I've heard might be good for brain health. But I have this list here, 11 foods that experts say can boost your brain health and help ward off things like dementia.
Mushrooms, dude. Mushrooms are great for your brain. I'm taking a mushroom supplement right now that's got all kinds of different mushrooms in them that I think it's the greatest thing I've found for my brain. I do notice a difference in it.
Really? That's good. I see these ads for Prevagen all the time for brain health meds. I've been wondering about those.
So expensive, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. And, there's some harness family health issues that are going along that have gotten us all of late talking about brain health and whatnot and how to stay healthy. So my sister Kelly did bring up the certain kind of mushrooms. I don't know if it's every mushroom, but that she's doing some herbal mushroom thing that she claims is making her feel sharp. Is it a placebo or not? I don't know, but it can't hurt, right?
I don't know that it is, dude, because I think I shared with you maybe, 6 months ago or whatever. I can't remember. But I was having brain fog and learned that one of the medications that I take daily that's one of the side effects is brain fog. Yeah. So I sat down and talked to my doctor about it because I have some brain health issues in my family as well. So I was worried about it. And she had me try a few different things. And I noticed nothing with all of them until I got to this mushroom. I wish I could tell you what it was called. I don't know if it's lion's mane or exactly what it is, but you're right. It is a few different kinds of mushrooms that are good for brain health. And I did notice a difference with this one only.
Interesting. Well, do look it up for me because I want to get on some of these supplements and try to do better and eat a little better. So let me just run through this list. We don't have to get in depth on it, but tell me, are these things you already eat, things you want to eat, blah, blah, blah. So first thing on the list is avocados, which that's interesting. I love a good guacamole.
Yeah, I think that, avocados are the good kind of fat for you. They're good for you for a couple of different reasons, eaten in moderation. That's interesting. I eat a lot of avocado.
Exactly. The monosaturated fats, those are found heavily in avocados and are good for your brain health. A vegetable I've just sort of naturally started enjoying in the last several years of my life that I hated as every kid probably does, but broccoli is apparently very good for brain health too.
Interesting. Yeah, I eat broccoli. Yeah, and some of these things you can put in your smoothie too. If you don't like the taste of broccoli, it doesn't have much taste when it's raw, so put it in your smoothie.
Right. I do not like raw broccoli. At a minimum, steam it. You don't have to dump it in like hollandaise sauce or whatever that stuff is, but raw broccoli, that's a little tough. In a good salad with a bunch of other stuff, maybe, but otherwise, no. Blueberries on the list. That's a good one.
Okay.
Something I've been eating a lot in life of late, eggs. I didn't know that eggs were good for brain health. I hear so much about the whites versus the yellows and blah, 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 but apparently eggs are good for you.
Just eat the egg, dude. Hey, if you're doing it in moderation, you're going to be fine, and eggs are good for you.
I eat about one egg 5 days a week. Is that too much?
One egg every day?
Yeah, 5 days out of the week.
Yeah, okay.
I usually have it for breakfast. I usually have either a fried egg sandwich or a little scrambled eggs.
It's not too much, no.
Fatty fish, the omega-3 oils and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, your salmon, gets some of that fatty fish going on.
Exactly. And this is quite a salad we're putting together here, quite frankly. Avocados, broccoli, throw a little blueberries, some eggs.